What you mean?
Do I hit the thing?
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Ready? Oh.
Hi, this is Alove, 1/3 of the Spiritualish Collective. You are now listening to the Mindful MIsfit podcast, the real spill, grounded spiritual podcast from the Spiritualish Collective. Get in here.
We're back.
That button. That red button.
Hey guys.
We're back.
Should I do it again?
Yeah, you want to hit it again one more time? I'm glad my
Hi,
headphones are.
this is Alove, 1/3 of the Spiritualish Collective. You are now listening to the Mindful MIsfit podcast, the real spill, grounded spiritual podcast from the Spiritualish Collective. Get in here.
Just because we like it.
Just because we like it so much. You know what's kind of funny? They
What's that?
we're just looking at the screen to them. They can't
I
hear any of
wondered.
that. No, they didn't hear any of that. 2 times in a row. We were just doing this. So Shay just hit a
That's
button.
fun. Yeah,
It's
we had a
fun.
little programmed intro, and we're gonna get it all wrapped up pretty soon with a nice little bow with the intro. But if you guys didn't hear it, we're here. Welcome to the Mindful MIsfit podcast. This is episode 6.
It is 6.
We had it. We generally are here on Mondays. I'm trying not to lean in and change things,
You're
but
great.
Mhm.
we're always here on Mondays to do this podcast. We love it. We come after booty yoga class and have a cup of cacao
Mm.
and then come right into this. We had episode 5 yesterday, a little sneaky side one, because we launched our We Talk, which is wellness, energy, and alchemy. And we had a wonderful feature, and so we're going to start to roll the podcast after the We Talk as well. So we have our guests. So that was episode 5 yesterday. If you didn't catch it, you really should. It was a good one.
You really should. As soon
Yeah.
as I put that description in, it'll be good to go.
Yeah.
It's got like 1 sentence. It took me an hour and a half to write the one
one
sentence.
We were
sentence.
yesterday.
toast
Toast.
yesterday.
Mhm.
Total toast for the weekend, for everything, all of the running around that we all do. Like it was the weekend, but it was also the culmination of the week and like the happenings of the week, but also the energy of the week. Yesterday when I got home,
Yeah.
Corpse pose.
True.
I had
And
some
it's,
French
you know-
fries and then I was done.
Right.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm glad you got
I
French
got fries and then
fries.
chicken
Oh,
sandwich.
glad you
I
needed
texted
that.
home and the boys were about to be, mom was like, one's out, one's on the way. And remember, we did the old switcheroo because I was trying to get home, right? I was
Mhm.
going to take Shay home. Then I was like, no, I'm going to be a good mom. I'm going to go home and put my babies to bed after working all day. And I texted mom and she was like, take your time. They're already
Shay did
asleep.
get home too,
That's
by the
good.
way. I got her
You
home.
made it, yes.
We didn't just leave her.
No, you picked up the ball and ran with it, and I really, really appreciate it. But I didn't end up even seeing them; they were already asleep by the time I made it. Yeah. She was like, "Take your time." So I did get my fries.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys, for
good,
your
good.
support.
Yeah,
I'd wanted
and the
those for 3
potatoes.
days.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know. I'm glad you got
potatoes.
them.
Thank
Never
you.
deprive yourself of fried
never.
potatoes.
I mean, gosh, it's like the only
Staple.
thing. It's like
Yeah.
it's honestly, it's my dessert.
Mm,
That's how it
I
feels
like
to me.
it.
love some fries. Love some fries.
How are we doing?
We're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
The weekend, you said the weekend, and it is the end of the week. But we don't ever stop working though. So it's
We
not like we
don't.
actually have like 2 days
Mm-mm.
off of
Mm-mm.
anything.
That's why
No.
this Monday feels
Like a
No.
Sunday. Like I want to take off on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
We might have to shift some things because after the
Real
weekend,
talk.
yeah, real talk. Monday, I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to. Teaching this morning came in. Nobody saw me. I got there early. Full on blanket pulled up on my mat, passed out.
I woke up and sometimes I'm just like rolling in hot, so it's like right on time, and I walk up and I'm like, there's no lights in there. Is anybody here? And so I like walk around and then go in and I'm like, oh, you're here. I thought I saw you guys. Like she was like caved in the corner, trying to preserve that energy,
Trying to
so that she could
preserve
teach class
a little bit and teach it the way that it should be taught because I want to be in integrity to the movement and to the
Mm-hmm.
medicine, because it's really potent right now and it matters a lot. And what's coming through feels like it's what's supposed to be coming through. And I don't ever want there to be a time when I'm teaching that is not the case. And so I'm just taking that so much more seriously, I think, than I ever have. And that's why we were talking before class about those boundaries, not just like boundaries with your emotional, like in relationships, but like energetic. Oh man, I was doing all kind of battle today. Keep them away, Lord. Keep them away. No weapon formed against me shall prosper, including a succubus.
So that hypersensitivity tip, that's a new one for me. I know y'all been with that for a minute. I had a moment at like Phil's Ice House last week. Where I was like,
there's just like nothing but happiness and joy and beer and
children,
ice cream and music.
French fries, French fries. It's all my favorite things, right? And it was interesting because I was like, man, I'm gonna get this great little mini burger that I really like. It's gonna be awesome. I went in there and I ordered my food, and then I was sitting down waiting, and they have this intercom system, so they call out the name whenever your order's ready. And I was sitting outside, and I could hear the children screaming and laughing, and that was fine. That wasn't a thing at all. That actually brings me comfort, like hearing that sound of like children playing like on a playground or just whatever. They're nothing defined, verbiage, just kind of their little joy sounds running around. And that was nice. But that intercom, man, it was like, I was like, dude, is the volume like exceptionally loud? Like
the
nobody
electronic
else,
interference.
It
from,
was like
the inorganic, like, ugh.
It was obnoxious. And I had this moment of like, oh my, I can't stay here.
Were you by yourself?
No. I met up with,
got it.
With the other half.
Got it.
And so, yeah, he came. I don't know if that intensified it or not. He did sit with me through my moment. I explained to him that I was having.
Did you say?
So I'm feeling like a little anxious right now. I think this is a lot. And we were sitting outside at first, and then some flies were coming around, and I was like, I can't. I was like, let's go inside. We're like, go inside.
You had to add flies to it. It's over.
I was like, we go inside. And I'm sitting there, and then again, like the intercom, and now we're inside. It's like cold floors, and I was just like, okay. And we like finished eating. I was like, can we just go? I just need to go out there. And so I ended up like going out into the parking lot for a minute, like told him, I was like, I guess this is where I'm at now. I'm feeling like real hypersensitive. I don't know if I'm picking up on some stuff or what, but it was like too much for me, too much. But the flip side of that hypersensitivity coin is that, I'm staying at a little old dog's house, right? And it's a house that I've sat for once a couple years ago, and it was just a few nights around the holidays. And this time it's a family, and they went on a vacation to Florida, and so they're gone for like the whole week. And so I'm staying with this lovely little old dog, and she's named after Loretta Lynn, and she's just so like precious. Deaf and like can't really see much either, but she's like real just sweet. And I just love these old dogs so much. I think I'm like the same speed as them. I'm really setting my routine, and like I'm just kind of mellow.
1957.
But when and this is kind of the flip side of the hypersensitivity. That was not nice. It was disturbing to me, and then also a little bit jolting, because I was like, what is this? Like, what is even happening right now? So the flip side of that, I walk into this house and I was like, oh, there's so much love in this family. Like it just like poured over me when I walked into the house.
That's nice.
And I mean, it's a lovely home, but it didn't have to do with the structure of the home or like the location of the home. Yeah. It was full on. Like I could just tell, I could feel it. Like I could really feel it that they just loved each other. They worked well together. They were just a really tight knit, very caring, loving family.
So and on the other end of things, you're able to pick up on that as well.
And that part is very rewarding. And this is like, I've never met the kids. I don't think I've ever met the husband. I had one brief visit with the mother 2 3 years ago at this point. So there's no interaction with the people at all. You
Mhm.
know, it's just literally like walking into their home. I could feel like how much love and connection their family had, you know.
Mm.
And then I thought, what a wonderful gift for this dog,
Mhm.
like to have lived her whole life with this family who's filled with joy. Because if you think of dogs and
Mhm.
animals in general, right?
Mhm.
But they're especially companion animals, like they definitely pick up everything energetically from the people that are around them.
Yeah.
And, you know, even myself at certain times in my life when I had pets, you know, I wasn't always in like a very good energetic place or headspace. And so I think, gosh, you know, poor that one cat, man, he really had it rough, the time frame, you know, that he was in my life. But then so thinking about the dog, just how happy she must be throughout her entire life, because the energy that she's absorbing, because I feel like that's part of their job as companion animals,
for
is to absorb
sure.
and be
Yeah.
here for the people.
Yeah. That's
So
what
I
I was
just
gonna
felt like
say
she hit the lotto because
with
she
the
got to get the good
Yeah.
vibes.
with the
Yeah.
cat. Like, yes, like in hindsight, looking back at that and maybe how difficult that could have been for him energetically. But during a time when I'm losing my husband, Elizabeth is going through this whole process with me and on the side, right? And then so the cat is kind of serving as a conduit for that energy,
Yeah,
right?
Debs, rest in peace,
Rest
shitty
in
kitty.
peace.
Mhm.
Rip shitty kitty. But also that's their job. He knows that's his job. You
That's
know,
what
he
they
came here.
for.
Yeah, that's what he came here for.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished. Got to feel like probably pretty good as like, you know, a cat conduit familiar to
Yeah.
like be able to serve your purpose and have it done well.
Yeah, he did good, and we did
That's-
right by him too at the
Mhm.
end of it all. You
Totally.
know, for sure. So it was a good exchange, I think, with him in his life. But yeah, thinking about that, I'm like, oh, I hope next time around he comes through at a more joyful time, and whichever
Right. And
life
come
he
back
ends
as
up
a
in.
super, I don't know, who knows, like just a little cute kitten.
Just
A
kidding.
cute kitten.
Yeah.
What do you think is up energetically? What do you think? So she's talking about like having enhanced. What I think is happening with you. Um, okay. I feel I came in super hypersensitive today because of some other things that were going on, but I think that's a part of like my own evolution, like where I am. And so I'm trying to figure out how to integrate this. And I don't think that I'm supposed to spend very much time like living outside of this way of being anymore. And so I'm adjusting to that. And what I felt, that's why I'm prefacing the statement, because I feel like almost now, whereas before it was like a very special moment for me to like read somebody or like tell them what I'm seeing, feeling, hearing, tasting and smelling, all the things, right? All the clairs. It would be like a special moment. Now it's not like a special moment. Now it's like just full on. It's like all the time. And so it's like adjusting to that way of being. So what I got when you were saying that is that that's what's happening for you, like that is blossoming in you. And there was something about also it's connected to the sound healing that you had, even though it was for Skilo, it was like you partook in that too. And that something about that sound healing like really opened something up for you. And it opened it up for you like with like possibilities of what you see as far as your own gifts and your own future with that. But it was like another level of clearing that happened as well. And when that clearing happened, it opened up another gift that you have.
I've been getting like peeling, there's layers I've been peeling back and peeling back. And I think that over time now I've peeled back not enough layers. I don't want to say like enough, but like I've peeled back enough that now I'm starting to be really in tune with myself and like what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, why, how I feel around certain people, what is that? So really starting to understand that. And yeah, it is new to me. So like the Phil's Ice House thing, love your burgers, I'll be back there. But let me tell you,
Sorry, Shay.
I might pick that shit up to go.
I might get that to go.
But that was really, it was
Yeah.
like I felt like not a panic attack, but boy, it was a lot. And I'm doing this because I felt my chest was like tight.
For you, so much of it has to do with sound and like how you receive a lot of the gift. It's like a vibrational, like we all tend to, I mean, not we all, the three of us sitting here respond to sound differently, I think, but there's something very specific to it for you. And it's very interesting that you said in tune, because it is in tune. It is about the sound. It is about the vibration and how it comes into your body. So I think that they're asking you to like really dive into that. And also, you remember that one time we were talking about, like, this was back in the day when we were first going through some pretty
my shoes off.
It was back in the day when we were first kind of walking through some really tough stuff at the beginning. And you're like, man, I just feel shitty. I don't know what's happening. I just feel, and I was like, we're listening to music tailgating after you put on music in the car, and we were listening to, I can't even tell you, it was like some kind of metal stuff that I would have liked.
But we were going to the farm.
Yeah,
it was one morning, and I had like metal on. It was like Price Stoner Rock. Yeah, and it was, and then go ahead.
And then I was like, but also, this might be the music too, because it's like you're very, very affected by the music. Like a lot of people are. We all are vibratory wise, and that's why you have to be very mindful. So they changed the frequency of music, I think, from 440 to 443, like the baseline. I think it was like in 96 or 97. You guys can check that out. But so once they change that frequency, like there's there's an underlying discordant that we feel, and a lot of the music that comes through now, depending on who's producing it, has that megahertz chord that runs through it, or the frequency that runs through it, and it just creates so much dissonance, like in the chest, so much. And also it's so like deceptive and seeping. It's just subtle. Like, oh man, it's real subtle. And so before you know it, you're like, all things.
And I listen to all different genres of music, because I love it all. And you're right, there's the music and animals are two, like they're definitely like a conduit for me, like you said. And sorry, I was fixing I got this nose ring, it twists around. I don't want y'all to think I'm all digging around.
That's not happening.
But it's like, I remember that day we were going to Ryan's to volunteer on F-Stop Farm. And I was already kind of I chose the music because I was in a state of like non-joy, right? I don't even know what word. I wasn't like angry or anything. I was just maybe solemn, right? And so I specifically was like, I think I'm feeling this. And then when you mentioned it, I was like, you know what? I think it is time to switch up the music. I become more conscious and aware of it, but every now and then I do need a reminder.
For sure.
Yeah. Because I know now, like, I'm like, all right, I'm feeling dark. I want to put on some metal. And then I'm like, actually, maybe we should just play some classical with me.
Some dark classical music. Some like really deep Beethoven, or like some what is it, the Flight of the Bumblebee or something. It's a little bit more intense, but like also still does not have that frequency in it that makes you want to murder somebody.
I'm starting to really like come into putting some things together. They're not all together yet to where I can articulate it like extremely well. Like I can say this, like I resonate with this because of this reason. But music, sound, vibration, like the resonance of vibratory frequency, right? Like that. It's very, very impactful to me. I can't imagine, like I've even said in the past, I have poor vision, right? If somebody asked me, would you rather go blind or deaf? I can easily say blind. And some of that is because I've already navigated a lot with not seeing very well to begin with. But the most of it comes from the therapy that I get from music, and how music and lyrics and different artists over my whole lifetime has helped me get through so many things.
Been like a solace.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
And
so
just even
things.
Be able to articulate in lyrics, what it is that I'm experiencing that I wasn't able to put into words, especially Aesop Rock. Like, y'all know I love him.
That's your dude.
I love
No.
him so much. And it's mostly because I'm like, I feel like it just has to do with like what he's writing about and the time he drops an album and then I get it. It's like on point, like to
Yeah.
where I'm at. And he's
Yes, yeah.
such a poet.
You've always said that you guys have a connection. I
Mhm.
mean, I think
That's
it's very
he don't
like
know
a past
he don't know
life
because he hasn't
thing.
met me yet, but I
Right.
bet you that's I
That's
bet
a
you
part
there's
of it.
something there.
I mean, the last connection, like really deep connection that I had, the last whatever that was, it wouldn't have resonated so much like with my soul in the way that he communicated with me if it
Mhm.
wasn't for the music.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
there's definitely things that he wasn't able to say to me that he was able to say to me in music
Through the
that it's
music.
like even you guys know.
Shifted some things.
I was gone. I'm still gone. There's some playlists that I just cannot play anymore. You can't even
You're
play
like,
them.
no, I don't want to hear
No, I
that
don't want to
song.
hear that
Yeah.
Not right now.
song. I don't want to hear all the feelings. So yeah, it's deeply, deeply effective. I mean, frequency, vibration is the language of the universe.
Mhm.
So it only stands to reason that that is another way that we can communicate with each other and receive messages. So be mindful
And
of
he's
what it
mindful
is
of
that
what
you
you're
listen.
listening to.
Yes.
and the other end of that.
And the other end of that, which is what?
That dysresonance, that tears apart at the cellular level, that can be sneaky.
Yeah, because there's different, like in all different genres, there's going to be all different like lyrics and feel, right?
Mhm.
So even it doesn't mean like I can't listen to hip hop. Like I love hip hop and rap. Like I love that stuff. I love also blues, soul, like classic. I love all sorts of music. Obviously metal, we were talking about that. So all sorts of music I really love, even folk music. I mean, I can listen to all sorts of things, bluegrass, like all the things. But the thing, what I'm trying to come back around to is that I
The music,
can
yes.
still find rap music, beats that are banging, that make you just want to shake it down, that have conscious content.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
lyricism is amazing. And I have like a list of different types of art, a bunch of different artists out there that offer really conscious, uplifting lyrics behind like banging beats that you would just be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, can mom hear this?"
Yeah.
Actually, she can.
Yeah.
She'd really like it.
And
We're
I feel
gonna
like
put them in the
that's-
description today. Let's make sure that
I'll
we
make
do
a
that.
list, yeah, because I can think right now like Abstract Rude,
Mhm.
Mestizo, like there's so many
Queen
out
Irby.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah, all
She's
kinds of
pretty great.
stuff. We'll put some music in
Yeah.
the
It's
description
important.
today.
It matters to
It
have that
does.
Yeah.
alternative, like what feels like an alternative, but it's really not. It's just conscious.
Yeah.
You're awake. You're not just listening to somebody talk about getting in their bag all the time. Okay,
Right.
but what you gonna do in your bag? Like,
Yeah.
is God in your bag? I don't know.
Yeah, and
Maybe.
I have my guilty pleasures, but I
For
do have to
sure.
limit it now.
Yeah,
I'm
me
because
too.
this whole new tip I'm on with this hypersensitivity thing that's
Mhm.
really interesting.
Mhm.
But I have to limit it because I still want to hear Schoolboy Q. Like,
I mean,
it's
Earth
a little.
Gang.
Well, they are right though, as far as what
Mhm.
they're talking about.
Sometimes.
Schoolboy, I mean, he just raunchy, and that's okay though,
That's
because
good
I'll be
too.
listening to it too. But I just got to make sure I'm in like a confident headspace
Right.
before I throw on some Schoolboy Q and him
Being
talking about the
intentional
ladies the way he does.
about all of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the music and the animals, those are definitely things. And you've been saying this too. Like I know it inside myself, but you've also been like verbally saying it to me for the past few years now as we grow together, and you've observed me and supported me and you as well through this growth and like getting through it. It's really fun actually to be able to navigate these times with y'all. But you've been saying for a minute now, you're like, there's something with the animals. There's something with music and there's something with the animals. And I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. And you saw it before I did. You saw it before you knew what it was. She probably know right now. She's just not going to tell me because she knows it's important for me to discover it on my own to grow. But I'm honing in on that right now. There is something very much about the music and the animals. And I just even think
Together.
back to, working at the vet clinic too, is I used to be like the tech that the vets were like, hey, can you be my tech for this room?
It's
Because
gonna
the
be
dog was
intense,
some way
yeah.
and the people were some way. And they knew that if I was in there, I could balance the situation and get the job done efficiently
Mhm.
and like done. Right.
Mhm.
And then especially for the mad cats, the angry cats, they were like, don't touch that cat. Liz, I'm gonna need you to come get this cat.
Come get this cat. And
You know,
just
and the
know
cat's
how
like trying to
move with
murder
them.
all of us as soon as you try to open the door. So yeah, it's something about just being really in tune with them. And I've been that way ever since I was a little girl.
I really feel like you're like also diving into looking into developing your technique that you use around like the psychic connection that you have. Like really like doing that part of things is a real big part of everything, and not also being unafraid to share that with the owner. This is what I like outwardly. This is what Boo Boo the kitty is saying about this and this and this activity or this food or this whatever it is. He doesn't like this. If you could switch this up, because I think that you have that ability to be able to dial that all the way in.
I'm understanding now that I've grown really more confident and sure of what I'm understanding about myself and with these animals, right? Because for a long time I just was moving around the cabin like with no conscious at all, just like I gotta get a paycheck, I'm just doing this, I don't know why I'm good at it, it just works well. But then I got to a point where I started thinking about like, what is it that I'm doing with this animal? And honestly, it's exhausting to think about like actually writing down like a protocol for it, because I actually in 10 minutes it's a list of things that I actually go through to manage this pet in a way that the pet like accepts it, right? It's a lot actually that I'm going through, like as far as understanding, shifting, pivoting, like understanding again, hearing them,
and different with every personality.
Every single
and it's
one.
your inner guidance that directs that every time.
Right now, like I keep it light and fluffy with the owners and just say basically that, especially like an initial visit with like a new pet that I haven't been around, and cats specifically, because cats can be very standoffish. Cats will hide if they are not interested. And it's important for me to get them out and feed them and make sure they have some love and attention to keep them happy while their people are away temporarily. And the cats have been a trip lately. But what I tell the people though, very like light and fluffy, is I'm like, it's just that my inner child just wants to pet every kitty out here. So I approach them all differently because I know I approach them in the way that I know will ensure that they will come to me. And it's true. Every single one is different. Some of them are very outgoing. I just pet them right off the bat and like get some snacks. Some of them are super shy. And my favorite thing in life is, not my favorite thing in life, but one of the things that bring me a lot of feeling of purpose and like fulfillment is when I can befriend an animal who does not trust me. They do not trust me. They don't trust other people. They want to hide. They don't have anything to say to me. And then all of a sudden, I go through my techniques with them. I give them the space they need. I figure out what it is they want, and I adapt to that. And then next thing you know, I got a little gray diabetic kitty sitting on my leg. There. Yeah, and I'm like,
an honor.
It happened today. Today's the day.
Yeah.
Best catter day ever.
I mean, it's just really important too, when we draw back the lens and look at it from an objective point of view with like what this purpose that pets serve, right? When people choose to recognize it, even if they don't, they're still serving that purpose. With where people are, with how we have been, what we've been through here. I mean, everybody keeps referencing the last year, but it's so much longer than the last year. It's been really since 2012, what we've been experiencing. Maintaining their health and energetic and their spiritual health is like actually maintaining the health of the owner.
It absolutely is. It's like an indirect way for me to really help people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sneaky.
It's super sneaky. They don't know how deep it is, how deep I go. Because I don't speak on it a lot. I don't describe it to people at all.
I think that's the next step.
That's what you were saying.
Yeah. I think
now that I'm really starting to become confident in what it is that's happening and what I'm doing with them and why I get because I'm telling y'all, my clients, like vets I've worked with, other techs that like I pet sit for, people in the veterinary medicine industry and beyond that have their own pets, and they're like, man, I get home. I've heard this time and time again. It's like they didn't even miss me at all. Like I get home and they looked up at me like, oh, okay, good, you're back. That's great. You know,
Is Liz
and that's
coming
what I
back?
want. You know, I want the pet to be so happy that they're
Right.
not like, oh my God, you're back home. Thank goodness. I missed you
Right.
so much. And so it's just interesting. And again, like with the vets always being like, can we get Liz in on this one? I think we're gonna need. And so over that and like reflecting back on it and being where I'm at now, where I'm more aware of just everything in here. I'm starting to connect those dots of why I was the
Mhm.
one that they went to. They didn't even know why I was. They just thought I was skilled and had experience, but it was something more than that.
Yeah,
It was a
for-
Comes
lot.
back to the energy, the
Yeah.
intuition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all
Deep,
of those
much deeper than
things.
that.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's fun.
I'm really looking forward to where, I mean, it's not twofold, but it is. Like I'm looking forward to where this will take you, but also like you don't have to go anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's fine. Where you're at is fine, but also I know that there are some things that you have on your own personal goal list that I think this is going to be a bridge between this and that,
Mhm.
because you're elevating your own medicine. Your medicine is enhancing, and the people who recognize the value in that are going to start coming in that way. Not that they're not here now, but I think it's just going to be a little bit different. It's going to look
Yeah.
different than it does now.
And I'm going to be able to expand the offerings too, which is
Mhm.
nice, especially collaborating
Yeah.
with on sound healing.
I
with
mean, I think that's
pets.
amazing. I
It's
think that's
incredible.
awesome.
Yeah.
So
Mhm,
fun.
It's
mhm,
funny how that even came to play
mhm,
because we were, we had booty yoga class and third
Mhm.
eye meditation.
mhm,
And then there was a fella who joined class,
Mhm.
Gabriel, and he hung afterwards and like
Mhm.
talked with us and was
Mhm.
saying about how he has these services he provides. Just moved here like 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
Then in the 30 minutes after, and I offer pet care, he was intrigued. Just one time he said that he does this for people, but there was a client of his who requested that he come bring his bowls and offer sound healing to the horses.
Mm,
And so he showed me
That's
this clip and I
incredible.
was like, what? And so I mentioned it to one of my clients, just mentioned it.
mm.
And she said, oh, well, you can use Skilo. And I
Oh,
was like,
that's
oh, for
awesome.
real? And then I got with him and we did a session together.
Mhm.
And when it happened, I was like, oh, this is going to be a whole thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so I'm really excited about where that's gonna what that looks like and where it's gonna go or whatnot. I don't have any expectations at all, but I
That's
feel
wise.
really good about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel really good about it. So I think it's something we'll be able to do.
I think that that's honestly, I know I looked at you and was like, what do you think about the energy? But I think what I'm collecting is that there is a grand deepening of our gifts, and like a real, like they're being defined for us in a way that they haven't been defined before. And so before it was just like kind of an idea that existed up here, and now that has trickled down and come into our bodies. And I'm glad. Like, you know how I think there's like probably a show that on Amazon right now, it's Invincible. Like when you first get your superpower and you
Mhm.
like just want the superpower, like you want to be able to fly, you want to be able to do whatever it is. It doesn't work that way. Thank God it doesn't work that way.
It'd be a
If I,
mess.
oh my gosh, if
You
I was
wouldn't know
to
what to do
get
with
all
it.
of the things at one time, and if they were to unfold in like just people who have just these incredible awakenings at
Mhm.
one time, they
Just
lose their
combust.
minds. Yeah, you
Yeah.
just internally, thank God it has creeped in. We've been able to integrate through the things, the practices that we do, and the things what we have been exposed to and then led to intuitively to follow. Break method, we talked about it before. Break method and your crystal work and plant work and plant medicine and pet care and movement and all of the other things.
QIC.
QIC, quantum inner child healing, and activations. Thank God for all of those things. They were preparing us for this moment. I cannot imagine having what I'm feeling right now that has been incredibly difficult to verbalized for the past probably 4 or 5 months. Thanks a lot. You know who you are. 4 or 5 months to like this massive activation. Yeah, it takes that long to kind of understand and hone like, oh, that's why this XYZ is happening. This is what I should probably do with this. Oh, I need to establish all new boundaries with people and like who I interact with and where I go and where I can't go, because there's like just some places I can't go anymore.
And you start to see it different.
Totally
It
different.
is that. It's like divine timing, right? Like it sprinkles in a little bit at a time, and then when they're like, okay, I think she's absorbed this one pretty well. She's integrated this. I think she gets it. All right, we're gonna sprinkle a little bit more. So it's ever growing throughout our whole life.
For
Like
sure.
we're never gonna be at a point. I guess I'm speaking to y'all because we already know. We're never gonna be at a point where we're like, okay, I did it. I'm enlightened. Let me show you all how to live. Right? That's just not even. I use that one specifically because it's just funny to me, because the people, it's like the people who say I'm enlightened. Well,
got a long way to go.
Clearly you're not. Because if you just said that,
gotta say
then
I'm an enlightened being. Oh, that's
I don't know
gross.
about that.
Like you said, it's
you would just
yucky.
be that if you are.
Yeah, you
right?
just are that.
You just be that. And then other people might say, I think that she's enlightened. Because you're being
There's
that.
something different about that.
Walking that way.
I feel like it's so tailored to spiritual growth, spiritual expansion, spiritual depth. Is so tailored to the individual, right? God is concerned with, just the smallest song that his eye is on the sparrow, right? He's watching the sparrow, and so I know that he's watching me, right? God, Mother God, Father God, very concerned with my soul, my being. So my spiritual expansion is going to look very different and feel very different from yours and yours. And so while yours is like, okay, let's sprinkle this, mine is sometimes like,
you get blasted.
Yeah,
you get blasted.
Like blasted for like 6 hours at night and like can't. But I also, we have established a relationship where I'll say, okay, my container feels pretty good. I feel like I can receive this information now. I want to know. Tell me the answers. Tell me, give me these pieces. And when I've done that lately, I have to be very mindful of that.
Cool, because you're going to get it.
Because I'm going to get it. Like, it's not even
get
like
what you ask for.
I'm going to
be
get
specific.
it. God,
Can't say that enough.
Can't say it enough.
All the details.
All the details. Yeah. So for me, it's like that. And then I'll integrate that information for some time and like work with it and see, the tapping in the ear. Those of you who are out there who are having physical manifestations of it's not just like your ear is popping. There's something for many of you. There's an energetic awakening that's happening with the physical body. So those of you who feel like it's just a very, very strange thing to have happen, or it's just a coincidence, I hope that just know that it's not, it's really happening. Because for a long time, that was like how first it started with frequency. Like I would hear like this really loud noise in my ear. Sorry, Shay again. I just set everybody off over there. I would hear this noise in my ear, particularly in the left ear. If there was like something that I needed to, what the conclusion that I drew was that there was something that I needed to pay attention to if I heard that noise. Like, so it would make me stop and like kind of look around and like see what's happening. And I started to notice that when I stopped and started to look around, there's something happening in my environment that I need to pay attention to.
That's tripping me out right now.
The awareness
is
it's
like
real.
the Amy's thing. It's a ringing like in my and it's the left ear. And I've for a long time chalked it up to tinnitus because again the music I've listened to it very loudly. I do have tinnitus. All of us do have a degree to it. Mine's pretty significant. So if it gets really, really quiet, I have it's full on, ringing. But it happened at the Amy's thing, and I was like, it was like And I was like, that's weird. It's just on this one side. And then all of a sudden I was like, what? And why
Wait a
is it so
second.
loud?
Yeah.
And everything's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the frequency, so on that left side, and it might be the same for you. It might be uniform across the board. It might not be. But for me, it was definitely like a warning. Pay attention to what's happening in your environment around right now. There's something that is out of balance. To me, that's like the angel warning sign. Like, okay, I'm looking and I started to notice, oh yeah, there is some fuckery afoot. I need to be very
It's like my
mindful of
favorite expression.
yeah,
Mhm.
I need to be mindful of that. And then after it was like graduation. So, okay, she's got that piece. I'm going to add this next piece. The next piece was this tapping in my ear that was like, if I swear to you guys, if I was to learn Morse code, I would understand because it's that significant. It's like the patterns were like at first it would be like I'd be laying on my bed like this and I thought like, it's just like a pressure thing. It's just happening because I'm laying on my side. The more that I started to understand that it could be something different and started to draw correlations between when that tapping was happening and then what information was coming through. At first I would look for it immediately like I would in this ear. Didn't work that way. I figured out, oh no, that's not what it is. Then I would start to understand that I would get exposed to so much more awareness about what's happening around me, like a download essentially, a couple days after. So when that tapping would happen, it would be like over 2 days, like something would develop and then I would be like, a light bulb would go off and I'd be like, oh, that's the connection. And then I started to be able to draw back to, oh, I got that a couple days ago. They were real heavy in my ear. That's what that was. Then that started to come more frequently and I get the tapping and tapping. Still when I'm laying down, still they like to get me when I'm real still. When I started to be able to integrate that information, the next step was, well, I could just be sitting there and it'd be just I'm like, oh, okay. And then I started to be able to consciously sit and allow that information to come through. And now it's like 6 to 8 hours and I can understand what the message is that's coming through and like what the next move is. So all of these things, right? I think that that's where this week, we're receiving a lot of information about how to move through this eclipse and how to gosh, even like be very, very mindful of what it is that we want to bring into our lives. That is the message that seems to be coming through the most clear about what's going to happen on Thursday. I spoke to you guys yesterday a little bit about like going up until Tuesday and then being very mindful of the decisions that you make. So today we're supposed to make a decision about a thing. You don't have to
With our
act on it.
hearts.
Yes, with your
Not
heart, not your
head,
brain.
yeah.
Because your brain will tell you, your head, your mind, your brain mind, because you have a heart mind, you have a gut mind, but your brain mind will tell you or might jostle with what's happening in the heart, which is why I'm exhausted because my heart is tired of telling me that it's this thing and my brain is like, it's not that
It is
thing. It can't be
exhausting.
that thing.
Yeah.
It's exhausting, that back and forth struggle. And so I felt the need for myself because I do understand that this decision that's coming up and these decisions that we're making are really important because of past experiences with eclipses when I messed around and just totally shift. Like I can look back now to 3 years ago. I've talked to you guys about this. I've talked to anybody who's listened on any Instagram or anything that I've done when I've talked about eclipses, about how we were on this specific path 3 years ago and then there was an eclipse and it's like we diverted and went like this way to the right and we started this whole other path. Now we needed the pieces that were on that path and now we're directed back to this, but instead of maybe if I wouldn't have fucked around with that eclipse, we probably could have just kept going this way and I might have had just like a straight line. So I'm just very mindful now of understanding that there is a lot of power in the sky. Those heavenly bodies have a lot of information and energy and insight to offer us. And I am one to believe that everything that's happening in the sky is ultimately for our highest good. Always. And now how we choose to receive that, sometimes that's going to feel a little bit like a spanking or like a come to heel or like take a knee. You're doing too much. But ultimately it is for the highest good. And I don't want to divert anymore. I feel a lot of pressure about that right now. And I think that's why I was so sensitive before the podcast, before we came on, is because I do feel that pressure to make the correct decision. But also, like, I do want to live in a space where I'm living from my heart. That's like my purpose in being here. And so I do feel like this big pull in my mind. It's like, do. Just stay in here.
Yeah,
Because
that's
the
not gonna
thing,
last forever.
no, it's not going to last forever, because the thing that's in my heart feels like unbelievable to me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think the push-pull is just, that's totally new territory.
Unbelievably beautiful. I should clarify that. But yes.
Yeah, and the push-pull, the head brain doesn't have the evidence yet that the heart already knows. Because I mean, the heart knows way more than this guy up here. And so I think that's the push-pull, that we just have to keep bringing it back to the heart until everything else aligns and gives that brain, the head brain, the evidence to like shut up. Like, no, this is real. Look here.
Like, look, brain, you need some tangible.
Yeah,
Here.
it's coming.
There it is right
is.
now.
You happy now?
And like, how long it's taken, like how much work and time it's taken to get to a point where we can even listen to our hearts. And I think a lot of that has to do with the feeling like, or believing that we need to protect it, and then putting this like cage around it.
Yeah.
And then half of the thoughts that are in the brain aren't even ours to begin with, or they're fully at least half. That's what I'm being like, I'm giving it some grace, because they're not even ours to begin with. They're based on probably bigger things than just our environment and conditioning from living in the environment that we do live in, or the experiences we have, like in this United States, in a working environment and productivity, and that your worth is based on your productivity. And so we go through this whole, like, we got to do all these things, and so we kind of shut down the heart. And so then when it gets to a point where you realize, like, wait, something doesn't feel right, I need to move forward differently, and then you try to start on that, there's a lot of work to do to be able to just start to even understand, even hear the thoughts, because half the time they're just rambling on without you being aware of them, and then hearing them and going, is that even, that's some self-limiting limiting stuff. That's not even helpful at all. So then, practicing and flexing and practicing and flexing to be able to be like, that's a lie, you can move on. That's a lie, you can move on too. And then like keep that flex going for a period of time, to where then it becomes more natural, to where you start to hear your heart more.
And it's just coming back.
And then
back,
it's that whole, just what you were talking about, that whole like the battle between the heart and the brain, and exactly what you were saying too about how exhausting that is. Like, it is so challenging to be like, but I know here that this feels right, but then my brain tells me like that can't be right because of A, B, C, and D. And you believe this to be true, and you believe that to be true, and you believe this to be true. So
and
how
look at
can
this
your
time
heart
that happened? Like, let me bring all this past history,
when I was trying to
evidence,
protect
trauma
this,
up to show you.
Right.
Like, no, sit in this. Remember why we don't do that. Why we don't listen to that
take
heart.
chances over here.
Yeah.
And I've been battling that thing for some years.
I just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, I'm getting to it. I was giving up recently. I'm on the cusp. Like, I'm on the cusp. I don't have like the exact what the other side of that looks like, but I do know that I am on the cusp of like really flipping from my brain to my heart, like fully flipping it. I'm trying to do that right now, and it's like, it is a real flex, and I got to keep moving forward through it. one thing about myself that I don't share very often is that I've been married for 16 years and in this relationship for 20 years. And we've lived separately for the last year and a half. And so that's been a lot of my like brain heart struggle because my heart was like, there's a huge imbalance here. Like, he's not happy. I don't think I'm serving him well. Vice versa. I'm not happy. He's definitely not serving me well. I don't mean serving like royalty.
Although
Also, I do also
Queen
mean that.
Elizabeth.
But I mean like serving
I'm
like
sorry, Shay.
I don't know that I'm loving him in the way that he needs to be loved in order to thrive as a person and vice versa, right? So it got to a point where I just had to be like, I tried A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. I tried all those things to try to shift it and I couldn't. So I literally was like, something has to give, something has to change. We cannot move this way anymore. I love you so deeply and dearly, like forever and ever I will, but we can't do this anymore. And to the point where I was like, I don't know what else to do. We're just going to not live in the same space. And so now it's like this interesting evolution of that because with having physical space comes a whole another array of things that come into play with that. So it's been real interesting tug of war.
I'm
Yeah.
super proud of you for sharing that.
I know.
Yeah,
me
that's
too.
I mean,
Yeah,
that
thank
really
you.
says that I feel like that's a big piece of like moving through to the
Mhm.
next phase of things. Like, right, this is what I'm dealing with. I can't even talk about what I'm
I
And
saw
so-
y'all's excitement whenever you knew, because y'all knew, because we're all very much in tune. That's why we do this thing. I saw it, their eyes like lit up. They're like, "Is she gonna say it? Is she gonna
she
say
said
it?"
it.
And
It
you,
matters because other
Yeah.
people are experiencing something
Yeah.
similar in like in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Like you're a
Yeah.
representative of that's the way it works. That's the
Yeah.
way my medicine works. That's the way medicine works. We're a
Yeah.
collective. We share these experiences. We share these feelings. We share
Yeah.
these emotions and all trials, tribulations, all the things. And so when you, just like yesterday with Sonia, when you are able to share that, it gives permission for somebody else to look at it from through a different lens and maybe like be brave about like really sitting with what it is that they need
Mhm.
as opposed to what society expects of them in regards to their relationship, their
Yeah.
marriage, separation, all of those really deep, impactful things that you mentioned.
And we're ever evolving as people. And so,
Mhm.
I mean, our perspectives change from time to time. And the hope, and, is that everybody, well, especially in a, long term monogamous relationship, the hope is that we continue to grow and adapt and work through things like together and evolve and then be on the other side of it together. That's not always going to be the case. Like sometimes people are going to grow at different rates and need to kind of like grow independently and then maybe come back together.
Big sigh.
I mean, I definitely don't want to, write him. They'll never be a writing him off. The love is very deep. The respect is there too. That's a big part of why I don't talk about it often.
Right.
Is because I don't want to, put all his
Be
shit out there
disrespectful.
either.
Yeah.
And in the I salt card, the undying love, that thing, man, it came out at a time where I was just like, I mean, tears poured out of my face. I was like, it's so true. The card just mentions like, I forget exactly what it says, but it's undying love. And it says something, I'm paraphrasing along the lines of like, the love that's there will be always. Like there's
will always be shared.
Will always be shared. And that was so important for me to hear and see at that time because I was like, oh my God, it's true. It doesn't mean I don't love him. And that's opened up a whole thing about what love is, right? And I think a lot of the time we put love is a verb, like love is a description. I love you, I love you. I love life. I love the clouds. Like love is just put so much into that word that's like it's so much pressure,
Right,
like
and
to a point where
parameters and
people don't
boundaries
even want to
around it.
say that
Yeah.
they love each other. Like even in relationships, it's like this whole thing, like, do I say I love her? Will she say it back? Like it's a whole thing around it. It's ridiculous, you know? And so like love is love is love, right? And so I just feel like for me, I had put this whole, like I had put so much into what love is, and love had to be commitment, and love had to be forever, and love had to be, and that's just not realistic. Like it's just not, you know?
Because that's putting that word love before yourself.
Yeah.
Even,
Yeah.
you know, because if you keep coming back to like love's supposed to look like this, you know, some part of you isn't getting filled up, and that's saying, oh well, that society's perception of what that's supposed to look like is more important than me and how I feel, and am I fulfilled?
Right.
And I think a lot of people out there do that. I know I did, you know, put that and that other person even ahead of yourself. And
often, more often than not, in a lot of cases, when I look back at relationships that I've had, it was definitely always, because I feel like that's a very feminine trait, is to put the other in front of ourselves, especially when you're looking at being a mother and a wife and all of the things, and like the roles that we're supposed to play, or we're told that we're supposed to play, is to put everybody, you're the sacrificial lamb, you put everybody in front of yourself. And so to find a place to be able to hold these boundaries, like the one situation that I'm dealing with where I had to be like, yeah, I love you, but also this is not my stuff. I'm at a point where I don't have to take this on, and into a relationship that I can say no to this. There was a time when I felt like my love had to look like sacrifice. It had to look like me giving up this thing in order for this other person to be healthy or to be well. Like I had needed to save them. Martyrdom is no way to live. I'm so thankful that I can see that now and understand that I am worthy of saying no. I don't have to do that.
For me, a lot of healing had to happen before I could even get to that point.
Oh, absolutely. You know? Totally.
So like that decision for you and your relationship, like that shows a lot of not only strength, but of like what you're, of yourself, like your love for yourself, and like the prioritizing yourself. You know,
it's
and
true
that's
love.
Beautiful.
It doesn't fit. It's funny. It doesn't fit like the general description of true love. When people, we think in general, a lot of us think like true love is like this, oh, it's like a beach with white sand, and it's like this like candlelit dinner and this like embrace, and like those are aspects of it, yes, but true love is actually pretty gritty sometimes. True love gets really tricky sometimes, because because it would be, if I didn't truly love this man, I'd have been the fuck out already, but because I consider him as a whole human being, and like the compassion he has and the devotion he has for me and the love I have for him and the history that we have together and all these things, I had to really come up with a game plan that wouldn't just smash both our hearts.
Right.
I couldn't do that. I didn't want to do that.
Pieces. I mean, I think it goes back to that thing, that theory that I have about inversion and why it's so why in entertainment and in society, the pictures that we're shown of things, like how things are supposed to look, right, is and you bypass it. And about love, the example that I used before in a conversation that we had was with very specifically with abuse and what it looks like to be abused. We're shown pictures of physical abuse often, like all of that, but they not very often is the subject broached in movies and TV shows, and I mean I would imagine in some books, but very front facing, you don't see the internal damage, and there is no value given the internal damage to what an abusive situation does to somebody, and it's not accurately depicted what an emotionally abusive situation looks like. And so in present day, out in society, us walking around living our lives, people are just living in a state of unworthiness and they have no self-love, and they have no concept of, right? They have no concept of self-love. So when they are broached with the idea of something like, or when they're confronted with things in their relationship that are inappropriate in some way, it's hard to make the connection that that is actually an abusive situation that you're in. And so speaking about these things, right? That's why we do what we do. We have to talk about it. The same goes with love and what love actually looks like. It starts from in here. You have to love yourself first before you can love anybody else.
People, I've heard that my whole life.
Yeah.
Like, you can't love somebody else unless you love yourself, right?
I mean,
heard
you
that my whole
can, but
life.
it's not going to have the depth that you want it.
And you can't fully. And I used to never understand that because I didn't love myself. And so I was like, but I love other people so greatly. Like, how can that even be true?
Yeah.
And now I understand it fully. Like, you actually, like, it is. And part of that understanding comes from my own personal like journey into loving myself. Part of it comes from me being in a relationship with a spouse who didn't love himself, right? And I'm like, well, I know he does love me, like at the capacity he can.
At the capacity he
right?
can. Yep. Keywords.
But I also knew there was a lot of codependency in our relationship, right? And so so he couldn't love me fully because he didn't love himself. Now he's doing some work to get there now, so he's starting to understand some things and like why it is the way it is. He's really, no dummy, and he's a deep thinker too. So he's got some understanding now, but we're still like, working through some turmoil with that, working through it, whatever that looks like over there, because I'm not tied to any outcome.
Right.
We're just taking it a little bit at a time. But yeah, like, you have to love yourself to be able to fully love other people, to be able to give yourself like that. And that codependency tip is, it's a lot of pressure on the person, the other end, right? Because I feel like I can't say that I know it's kind of mutual, the codependency, right? But to a degree,
I have some feelings about codependency, and I think that
tell me about it, because I was feeling like
it gets a bad rap.
So in my brain right now, I was just thinking about how much pressure it has been for me. Like, I didn't realize it as it was happening, but like now at this, like looking at it through this lens, it's like that is a lot of pressure on me for him to shift everything about him if I'm having a bad day, right? Like, so he couldn't independently be happy and move about the cabin if I were in a bad space or I was upset or angry or whatever. It would just throw him into that too. And then that's a mess, because usually when I'm in that space where I'm like feeling heavy and I'm feeling sad and I don't have the motivation, what I need is my partner to then at that point be able to be the support on that part. Not always. I don't always and forever need the support, but like in those moments, I need to know. But what would happen is that if I would get in that space, it would pull him into that space too.
Right.
And they
It's
were
like
just
without the
floating around in
sovereignty.
the
It's like codependency without personal sovereignty.
right.
It's like if you can have personal sovereignty and then come to a relationship, even if you are depending on that person, it doesn't, I feel like the bad rap that you're talking about is like, you're supposed to be in a relationship and not have any not be dependent on that other person at all.
Well, right. I mean, that's why you are in the relationship, is so that you can team up, so that you can
be more powerful
together. And I think moving away from calling like codependency and thinking about it from an energetic imbalance. Like, it's imbalanced.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
both people are in 100%, but if all of a sudden one person drops back and you've got one that's in 100%, and then you've got somebody else who's rocking at about, I don't know, maybe 60, that's felt like this way. Now, what you can easily write that, and I think that that's where the dance comes in with the relationship, right? And that's how we are as people. But it's when the one dips down and constantly depends on the other to be able to bring them up, that's where it becomes
a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure. Yeah. So I don't know what the term is, like what it would be as far as like shifting away from codependency.
I like the energetic imbalance.
The imbalance.
I think that really nails it. And then it
Mhm.
takes away like that taboo, that nasty feeling about the word.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're supposed to be like, if you're in a relationship, it's you're working together.
Yeah.
It's co-working together, now dependence.
You should
That's
be
the
able to
piece.
depend on that person
Exactly,
when you need them, but it
exactly.
shouldn't be like at every
Yeah.
turn.
Right,
you
right.
know?
And now I will say too, because I'm always going to want to play devil's advocate to a degree, is that 20-year relationship. So there's been times where I was not in a great space either,
Sure.
and then he was able to do some things during that time too.
Mhm.
So it's not like just I've been dragging this like human with this whole time.
Right.
It hasn't been like that.
Yeah.
But we got together when we were like 20, and then now I'm not 20 anymore. Something has passed.
Priorities shift.
I mean, I know I
things
look
change.
good, but it's been a couple decades, and so priorities change, things shift, personal
Life happens.
Yeah.
Life changes.
Yeah, and so it's just about like, okay, so how do we move from here?
Mhm.
And he was there with the Amy's thing. That's what I was tiptoeing around earlier today. I was like, my other half. But and I'm not sure if that exacerbated it or offered me any relief, because I didn't feel full relief. The relief I felt was that and I thanked him afterwards. I sent him a text. I said, thanks for sitting with me through that moment of anxiety I was having. I'm not sure what that was about fully, but it was a lot. And he did. He sat with me through that, and I was able to tell him, that thing. But my thought is, and I think this is why you asked me kind of earlier too, is if I were alone, because was his presence
right
beneficial in that moment?
Right.
I don't know. Did it exacabate things a little bit?
Or did it contribute to
I'm
maybe some
working
of the
that out
stress?
right now. I don't really know the answer to it.
Sure.
But
And
I'm thinking,
Yeah.
about that way.
I almost probably wouldn't IMO, as I've started to say.
In my opinion.
I wouldn't spend too much time running that back. I would just be in observation moving forward.
Yeah, I
about
agree.
like what that
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
like.
And then then walk into it with awareness and like be like
Okay.
hyper aware. Like, what am I
Mhm.
feeling? How do I
What is
feel? Am I
this?
getting the ear ringing? Like, what's going on?
What
right
is
now?
happening?
Yeah, if
Yeah,
I step away
exactly.
from that, do I still feel it? That's
Yeah.
a big thing for me. Like
Oh,
if
yeah.
you step away from it or go outside, do you still feel that emotion?
What are some things that present for you? Like if you're feeling
Like,
everything.
Like all the
Mhm.
things. Yeah, I mean, being a reflector, I can just tend to pick up whatever it is that the other person is feeling. But that's one thing that I have noticed. If I step away and I calm down, or there's a pretty decent shift in what I've been experiencing, then I know it's probably something I've taken from someone else.
Yeah.
it's not
Be
your
able to
own.
decipher
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, the retreat even was
Mhm.
big for that, like
Mhm.
I had that like exhaustion. I was like, I know we've been doing a lot, but this is just heavy. I'm tired. I just want to cry.
Mhm.
And I like went out in nature by myself, separated from the group. And I was like, I'm fine. I'm like, yeah, I'm tired, but I'm also okay.
Yeah.
And that helped me realize that it was the external energy of other people, what they were putting out, that I was kind of like absorbing.
And that's a great technique too, to be like, oh, I'm feeling this way. I'm right here, right now. Can I take
definitely
5?
step
Like, can I
away.
walk away and in
Mhm.
nature?
Yeah, and
that'd be ideal. And then, like, as soon as you did, you felt like lighter.
yeah.
Right?
And for me,
That's a great
nature is like a
exercise.
constant. For me personally, nature I know always feels good. There's not a
Yeah,
time I'm gonna get in
same.
nature and it's gonna feel bad.
Ah, you shitty trees.
yeah, exactly. Like I love that. So, for me, that was like a safe space.
Yeah,
Mhm.
nature,
So.
man. The woods. There's something about the woods.
The trees just take it from us.
Yeah,
Just
it's
like
real nice.
they
Man,
absorb it from the ground
since I was
all
a
the
little
way
girl.
up, the leaves, all of
Mhm.
everything. And if you can get water, add some water into that. Just getting back to nature, just in general, is just
It
everything.
is,
Remembering
yeah.
to do that, I
In all the
definitely
ways.
I just, man, yeah. Even
Need
as a
it.
little girl, I was like pulling the animals and the woods. Like I lived in a neighborhood, back in the day, and so we go run around. Our parents would be like, "Just come back at dark," like ride our bikes around. And I'd be like in
before
the front
that
yard.
430 frequency. That was when
Oh
that was
yeah, that's
happening.
true. It was before then.
Mhm.
Don't tell people how old I am. No, I'm kidding. But it's like the animals. I pull ears with my doll brush, and then like playing with my friends,
I've
like
heard this
legit,
story. I
dude.
love it.
And then like when I play with my friends, we'd ride our bikes and drop them at
For sure.
the front of the woods, and we'd go through the woods, and
Yep.
like we'd find all kind of adventures out there. I
Mhm.
mean, we may have found a homeless camp once too, but that's neither here nor there. We were safe. But yeah, like the bayou. I mean, there was all kinds of, nature spots that we could access through our neighborhood too. But something about being in the woods, something about being with animals, it's like really
Mhm.
comforting to me.
Definitely. I
Yeah.
feel like that's definitely a piece that we
Mhm.
all share, the animals and nature and plants. Like some
Yeah,
of us more
definitely.
express than the other, but that's a big part of it. When my boys in particular can't, the little one in particular can't get outside and can't like put his hands in the dirt and like run around and be with the dog. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, let's go outside. It's going to be fine. Go outside. Go dig some stuff up. Go build some things. I feel the same way. And thank you for reminding me that's probably a really big part of my problem. Is all of this technology and all of this that I've been doing lately, and just like so much in the computer. That's why I'm like wearing no clothes today. I need to not have shoes on, and I need to be outside. I need to be at the creek, and I need to sit by the creek and just chill myself.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of creek moments probably for the next like 6 months.
Oh, we live in a perfect place for that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
perfect time of year.
Yes, perfect
Yeah,
time of year.
exactly.
I wanted to probably just pull some stuff
That
here
sounds
just for a
great.
second, and then we can. Oh God! Oh,
Thanks for
okay.
listening.
We're gonna let you.
I just want to
don't
say
even
thanks for
know.
listening. You
Okay.
guys are always so open. It's so nice to be able to work through all these things.
Can
with
we get 'em
people
with our
who,
toes?
I've done it before.
It's so nice to work through these things with people
It
who
really
are
is.
open to hearing
Shay, I can't
without
get these.
judging, and even able to offer some insight on top of that. What y'all got?
I'm not supposed to. I'm not supposed to.
Okay.
That's what that
She
means.
said leave those
All right.
down.
They're like, leave them there.
Okay,
Sorry,
that sounds
you
good.
don't get a reading today. Ding! Never, not one time. Spirit don't miss. They're like, ding, bitch, you got it. Not supposed to. You need to go sit yourself down somewhere. You can have some more fries, but that's it. And my mom actually cooked. Oh, shout out to her. She's been like just
I would
so
like to double that. Shout out.
wonderful to me lately. She's really seen a lot of the work that we've been putting in and has been real supportive and just understanding of a lot. And I've been showing up, right? I've been consistently showing up for some time now. And so she made dinner for the boys last night, and I have low-key been thinking about it since I found out that she made dinner last night. I'm about to go get into that. She fried fish, and she made a whole bunch of vegetables. I think she did probably did she say broccoli? She made a big salad. She might have said broccoli, but I might have missed that part. I got stuck on the fish. And then she made tea, which is just stupid.
It's the best.
It's so good.
It is the best. I
really
don't
is
even
the
know what
best.
kind of magic she puts in that
I
tea.
don't
I mean,
know
it's
either.
just tea, but it's not.
It's
just
not tea. It's really great. So I think I'm gonna go do that and go put some comfortable clothes on. I gotta go to a parent teacher meeting first, and then go pull the covers up. Yeah, no, you're like, no, you're
Not
fine. You
today.
need to
Yeah,
just
not
rest
today.
yourself. So eclipse things. What I seem to know to be true as we move into that is that I'm just peeking at this card. It says, I trust the mystery of life. So trusting the mystery of life, but also in your mind's eye right now, continuing to decide and build into, oh, that's beautiful. Oh, is that today?
Yeah, this morning. I didn't know if we wanted to share since that
We
was the one
will.
that we showed.
Yeah. Deciding to build into the life that you want to live and staying focused on that, building that, but not being so fixated on what it looks like and being more mindful of what it feels like to be loved, like to love yourself, but also to be able to share that love. Whatever it is, like you want to go to like Witeki. Hi, shout out, welcome to Austin.
Hey, I saw that last week. I sent you a text. I was like, Our boy's here.
I know
He
he's here.
came.
He's awesome. So the example that he used was like, you want to go to a college, like, don't name the college. What's the feel? You want it to, how do you want that college to feel? Do you want it to feel like home? Do you want it to feel very busy and like just a bunch of minds moving around and connecting? Or do you want it to be like, what is it that you want to do there? So just being mindful of the feeling over what it looks like. Like it's very interesting. The example that he used this morning when he was talking about the energy, he was like, I had a client one time that was like, I am supposed to marry a redhead and I want to marry a redhead. And I was like, okay, well, just go ahead and do all the things. Just call me all the way out. It's fine. So don't.
Was this on YouTube or Instagram?
No, it was on my message that I got this morning directly from him.
Okay.
It was in that message.
I'm chuckling for a number of reasons,
For
none
so
which
many.
can be spoken about, but it's just fascinating.
Yes, same, right? Super private, all of the things. Would never put anybody on blast like that, but also
Just the evolution,
but also
and the evolution of red.
and the evolution of red, because
Right?
it's not just one, right?
At first
we can
it was
definitely say
like,
that.
this has got to be it, right?
Yeah.
This has got to be it.
This
Because
is-
the description, because it were so. Don't follow that. Like, don't.
No.
College. Like,
No.
you don't want to put the name on
Don't
the
put
college.
the name. Don't put the name
Don't
on
put
it.
the name on the college.
Just the feeling
know
behind it.
The feeling
Just know
behind
that
it,
it's a feeling behind it, because that hair could change, right? It could go silver like at any minute.
And the emotion's what brings it in.
Yep.
When we talk about the manifesting and all this stuff.
Yeah. And being
Yes.
consistent with that. Consistent with that
Yeah.
emotion and believing that it's true.
Because that comes from in here.
Yes.
You don't feel emotion up here.
No. You feel
And I
it
think
in
that's
here.
why that is the big piece in the manifesting, in the all of it, is because it comes from
That's
here.
the way to do it, is to feel the emotion and then keep that frequency of that emotional feeling and then build on it. And then it appears.
Yeah. Because this is so much stronger than anything else.
And then when
Absolutely.
it appears after something that you were feeling and like your
You
intuition,
know it.
then you're like, oh, snap.
That's
Okay, I
it.
see
Yeah,
it.
because
All right.
you can't get a feeling wrong. There's a
No.
bunch of people out there with red hair and it can look different, but that feeling isn't going to be wrong.
I want the
Yeah.
feeling. Now the
Yeah.
issue is that I also want that feeling from a
specific place. Okay, I would like it to come from a specific,
specific source. So it's
Okay.
it happens to be both, and that gets really messy.
It can be confusing.
It
So the
can be
key is
confusing.
to really get in tune with yourself. And then be patient if you're just, I think a lot of people are already on the same path that we are on and doing the work here now. But if you're at a place where you're just kind of starting out right here, because I was at a place where I was starting out, right? Still pretty much in the beginning of it all.
Okay,
but
same.
like being
Enthusiast.
Yeah.
right? But like being patient with
No.
what?
You're not an enthusiast.
You're not
Remember
at the
yesterday?
beginning.
You're not
No,
at the
I
beginning.
know.
You've done a lot.
We got to give
Look,
ourselves.
I'm just trying to
credit where
relate
credit
to the
is
people.
due.
Okay?
No,
I'm just trying-
we are taking.
No, you're
we're,
right.
We're
I'm not- I'm-
owning. We are owning it.
I've been working through this. So what I'm trying to tell you is that when I started, what seems like lifetimes ago, because it probably was.
I mean, it really was.
When I started, I just remember being like something simple of like, what do you want? The question would throw me off. Because I was so out of tune with who I was and what I actually wanted that I didn't even know how to answer that question.
Probably
And
comes back to that closed caged heart.
Fully, and then my brain telling me that like I don't deserve the things I want, or I'm not capable of getting the things I want, or whatever. And so I had to really just keep going, and just be patient with yourself, have grace with yourself, and just write things down. Just write things down as they come to you. Things that you want, and then it'll start to unfold, and it'll be easier to answer that question or whatever question is presented that seems like a challenge at the time.
Absolutely.
You feel like you don't have the answer to. The answers will come. They'll
if
come.
you're
It just might not
patient enough.
come. That's the thing. It might not come in the timely manner that you want, but it'll come in divine timing.
Which is better than you could ever imagine.
Always.
Do you want to do that? Did you show that already?
I didn't.
You want to talk about that for just a second, and then
Let's
we
do
can.
that. That's a great way to.
Yeah. Do you want to?
I do love
You
that.
love to do it.
I love this.
Yeah.
game.
So
I'm
this is the
excited.
chrysalis that, if you listen to our our podcast from yesterday, the post We Talk, Sonia, who presented yesterday, had this guy. And we actually show it on camera. Liz Vanna whites it, and the pupa wasn't quite to enclosing yet, means coming out, but it did this morning.
Oh,
And this is like one of the pictures she took of it. It's a male.
He's big.
Did we get what she is naming that one?
She hasn't said yet.
Okay, I didn't
Also,
get a name.
this is not a brontosaurus.
No.
It's a. Do we remember?
Allosaurus?
It started with a S. Something.
I can't.
Sorry, Sonia.
Sorry,
It's
Sonia-saurus.
Something saurus. But
Sonia-saurus.
look, Sonia, just know that you've educated me well enough that I know that is not a brontosaurus.
She's like,
Okay.
they went up. Brontosaurus went away with Pluto.
Probably went away with that frequency too.
Oh man, bye.
Hey, they brought back Pluto though.
I know.
Yeah.
But
Maybe they'll bring back the brontosaurus.
they
I don't-
can help but bring back Pluto because Pluto has a lot to do with everything that we're actually experiencing.
The
right now.
chaos.
Oh,
Yeah.
all of the unearthing of all of everything is not all of everything, but a lot of it has to do with Pluto. The dead things must go. They have to come to the surface and to be released. And so as a Scorpio, we are ruled by Pluto. So it's constantly all of the dead things coming up and then transforming and transforming again. I'm probably going to look different on Monday than I look right now because it's constantly changing. What you're catching right now is me being in that, like, get in that cocoon.
Constantly changing. And that it's that inside out job that I just wanted to say, because people will, throughout the last couple years, when I've been going through this turmoil with my relationship that has been extremely excruciating. I mean, y'all sat with me through tears and frustration and all these things and sadness and just like overwhelm. Throughout all that time, like, post a picture, see people I hadn't seen, see people I just saw, and they're like, you just are radiating. You just look gorgeous. What are you doing? And I'm like, whoa. I don't know how to answer that question, because how can you say I look good when I feel like I'm going through such turmoil? But it's because I was working and still am working so hard on the inside that it's presenting outwardly. Yeah.
That's
It's
exactly
fascinating.
Right. Again, back to the heart. You've made so many decisions from the heart.
Yeah.
And I think that keeps you full.
Thanks. It's my flex, my new flex.
Your new flex. Do each of you do you have narrowed down what you are going to decide? You don't have to say.
In regard to
moving forward. You do?
Like the eclipse and stuff. I've got an idea. Probably going to do some honing in on it and get those details straight that we know are so important tonight.
So important. Yes. Do you feel like you have an idea of what it is that you're deciding?
I am on the cusp. Yeah. I had to have some writing to wrap some things up too, I think. But yeah. And I think the next probably 48 hours is going to be the tell.
It's really nice that we had class tonight. And I mean, we had class earlier today and then we have class tonight. Tuesday, I found out Tuesday is Mars rule day. And that's why it always feels so electric. And I'm also Mars ruled Leo. And so a lot of that energy tapping into that fire, that courage, that heart, that's that Lyran stuff comes straight through in the practice on Tuesday. Channeling it all the way in.
I love Tuesdays of Squatch too. Yeah. And the lion's breath today. We did some big lion's breath and it was in a great pose. I feel like it was almost like lunge or lizard or something. Yeah, it was like lizard or something.
Oh, we did it in lizard and we stepped up to high lunge and then
that was great. That was great.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I really went in fully on those. Lion's breath.
We got to charge up that heart. We got to really charge it up and fill it up. I hope that you are doing the same thing wherever you are in the world, catching us,
Yeah.
I always hope the best for you guys. Thank you for holding space for me when I am not always. I mean, it may seem like it to some people that I'm here. Sometimes I'm like, I need to be quiet and I need to be just like sensitive. That's how I think I can navigate and help people the most in the world is with when those quiet times hit and being respectful of maintaining boundaries around that. So thank you for that. I'm gonna go, like I said,
and
and
both of y'all.
I
pull the
appreciate
covers
the
up.
same thing from
Power
y'all.
of 3.
Girl, you just stole that right out of my face. I was about to say the same thing, the power of 3, because there's, you know, many times where I need to step out for a second. I need a big nap.
Yeah.
And you guys just don't even question it or expect anything. You're like, she's gonna be back.
It's fine.
Yeah. And
Don't
I
do that.
appreciate that very much so. It
Yeah.
allows me to be able to do the thing. And never in business, I've worked since I was 15 years old for other people, and never have I had business relationship like we have. And it is awesome because we are doing it. This is we are not doing this the same way as it has been going because it has not been serving anybody out here. So we're here, true testament out here. Yeah. Love y'all.
Hit us up if you guys have any questions. Of course, you can always check the website, thespiritualistcollective.com. You can follow us on Instagram, the very same Spiritualist Collective without the .com. And also anything else that I'm missing? YouTube, Facebook,
IG.
Facebook. I listen.
She said IG. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got them all.
You got all the places. You can also drop a comment, like button, smash the subscribe button. Bell for notifications. Like we really we realize that we just landed. We just got here, but we really appreciate the people who are checking in and all of the beautiful comments that we're getting from people like personally like popping in. It's awesome. You can also leave them down there and then share it so other people, if you get something out of it, we don't want this to be like, yes, this is the container that we have created, but like let's pour out a little for the homies, right?
Oh, every time.
Love you guys.
Hey, this is existence as it's intended.
Connection is key.